Oftentimes, we recommend people to do journaling. Now, what happens in journaling is that whenever you get a thought, you write it down. Now, this process of writing it down helps because at that moment of time, we stop the processing and we postpone it, and whenever we get the time, whenever we have time, at that moment of time we think properly through writing. This journaling has numerous benefits. You're getting a thought, and at that point of time you are getting 10 thoughts. Rather than thinking about all those 10 thoughts, you write them down, you process it later. It is almost like a practice of meditation or mindfulness, where you are aware that a thought is coming to the surface. I am watching it, but I am not processing it. There is a difference between thinking and the incoming of a thought. A thought comes, and then to think upon it is our choice. And for a person who is in a state of panic, anxiety, or is habituated to think more, or thinks of many scenarios to create controls, that person gets so many thoughts, and hence writing is a good way to postpone it, to structure it, to simplify it, and it works. The problem with this is, once we are in the habit of writing it down, we are also increasing the importance we give to the thought, which means that at every point of time, whenever a thought comes, we are now considering that every thought is important. Once we do that, that essentially means that now the very thing that we want to detach from, the very reason that we were doing the journaling for, it had a side effect. That side effect was that we started to give more importance to every thought that we get, and then we gave it more and more importance, and then every thought that came, we started to write it down. Every thought that was coming, we were giving it more and more importance, and this created a problem. So solutions can have side effects, and that is one of the side effects, that we start giving more importance to our thoughts, we become more aware of them, and not to become aware of them to just stop the process of thinking or to let go, but we become habituated to actually become more aware of it, and to think even more, and to give it more importance. That is one. And the second is that in our life, we have seen that people say affirmations are something that actually change our system of mind. That is, affirmations is essentially a repetition. So repetition of thoughts take place when we start thinking on something on our level of mind. There comes a problem and we start thinking it, and we are wired in this manner of repetition only. So let's say you are getting a specific thought continuously, and you start to write it down. Once you write the solution down, once you write the solution down, the process of the wiring and rewiring of the mind stops. Because as we clearly stated, once we write it down, we stop the processing. But in our life, when we want to actually rewire our mind to put into a new habit, to put into a new cognitive structuring, what needs to happen is actually that we do not write this thought down, that we repeat it again and again. The solution that if was written that if was written, we would stop the processing and it will not be repeated, and hence it will not be rewired as a habit, as a new structure. Which means that in your life, when you are thinking, do not think that journaling is actually a very good thing. It is a beginner level activity which needs to happen to think properly. To think properly, writing is a good way. But if you are managing your thoughts by delaying them, by procrastinating them, this thinking through journaling will help initially, but as a consequence, what will happen is, one, you start giving importance to it, and then you become more habituated and attached to your thoughts and to some things in our mind that actually need us, that this much thinking has happened on a specific topic. Now, if you solve it by writing that this is the solution, this is not sufficient with to rewire the restructuring, to rewire and now bring a new belief system, a new solution, a new habit, a new way of thinking, a new perspective to our life. It needs to be habituated, for which we have to give it this much time. Which means that if we start writing here, it will not repeat here. And this repetition to this negative, this positive, to this problem, this solution, to this system of ours, a new system needs to happen. And hence, be very aware. Writing is very helpful. I still do it on my note app by typing, by writing. But I've also seen that when it comes to thinking, letting go of a thought, creating a new habit, creating a new structure, to actually learn something, to actually unlearn something, to actually get something out of your mind, to actually rewire a memory, you supposed to not write it, because once you write the solution you stop implementing it, because once it's written you don't have to do about it, because you can procrastinate it. When it comes to a solution to a problem in your mind that is repeating, the solution shall not repeat itself if you write it. The solution will repeat itself if you do not write it. Hence, keep it in your mind and it will remember itself more and more. And the more you don't write it, the more it will go on in your mind, just like the problem was. And hence, by not writing the solutions down, we fear that we will forget them, and that again becomes a bad habit. We need to not write our solutions down so that they become wired, repeated just as much as the problem was. Hence, and then they become a part of the system. This is in regards to side effects of journaling. Every solutions can have side effects and can be used to function properly. If we be aware of them, we can use them wisely. Best wishes.